Deep in Egypt's Valley of the Kings lies a tomb unlike any other, KV-17, the resting place of Seti I. Its walls are a masterpiece. Vivid, intricate art mapping the pharaoh's journey through the underworld. Lost for centuries, buried beneath rock and legend, its rediscovery would rewrite our understanding of ancient Egypt. This is the story of that tomb and the secrets it held for 3,000 years. In the early 1800s, the Valley of the Kings was a wild frontier for treasure hunters. Giovanni Belzoni, a former circus strongman turned explorer, sought more than gold. He wanted lost history. Guided by instinct and local clues, Belzoni uncovered a hidden entrance others had missed. Inside, he found walls alive with color and story, untouched for millennia. Belzoni had not just found a tomb, he had opened a pharaoh's palace for the afterlife. Seti I, father of Rameses the Great, ruled Egypt at its height. His tomb was a cosmic map, its art and texts guiding his soul through the underworld. Every detail was crafted for rebirth, with colors and carvings that still dazzle today. To enter is to walk beside a king on his eternal voyage. Belzoni's strength was matched by his ingenuity. He searched where others saw only rubble, using water to reveal hidden voids. In October 1817, his persistence paid off. A sealed staircase emerged from the rock. This was no ordinary tomb. It was a lost world perfectly preserved. As the last stone was cleared, history held its breath. Torch in hand, Belzoni descended into darkness, the first in 3,000 years. The walls glowed with vibrant scenes, gods, pharaohs, and the mysteries of the afterlife. Each chamber revealed new wonders, the artistry unmatched in the ancient world. The tomb seemed endless, a labyrinth of color and silence. Belzoni had found not just a tomb, but a masterpiece of eternity. Belzoni and Ricci realized they'd discovered more than a burial place. The walls were covered in sacred texts, including the Litany of Ra, praising the sun god. Deeper inside, the Amduat depicted the 12 hours of night in the underworld. The ceiling was a comprehensive astronomical chart, ensuring the king's soul could ascend among the stars. Belzoni had found a library of the afterlife, including the Book of Gates, describing the soul's passage. The tomb's art wasn't just decoration, it was a functional engine designed to guarantee the pharaoh's immortality. After exploring the chambers, Belzoni's team reached a grand 6-pillared hall. In the center, they found a magnificent, translucent alabaster sarcophagus intricately engraved with hieroglyphs. The sarcophagus was empty, its lid broken, and the king's mummy was gone. Belzoni then heard a hollow sound beneath one of the walls. Behind it, they discovered another staircase descending into the bedrock. This passage was rough, unfinished, and the fine plaster and vibrant paintings were gone. Had the pharaoh died suddenly, forcing a hasty burial? Belzoni tried to clear the tunnel, but the air became thin and dangerous, forcing them to turn back. To this day, the purpose of this mysterious tunnel remains one of the greatest enigmas of the Valley of the Kings. Stepping inside Seti, the first tomb plunges you into a realm of gods and magic. The first corridor grabs you with its artistic power. The walls are alive with color and meaning. Here, the journey into the afterlife begins. You see Seti I before Ra-Horakhti, seeking the god's favor. The walls are covered with the Litany of Ra, invoking the sun god by his many names. By surrounding himself with this text, Seti's soul could absorb its power and become one with the sun god. The art is breathtaking, masterpieces of bas-relief giving the scenes incredible depth. The colors are still shockingly bright. Walking through these corridors feels like being inside a precious, illuminated manuscript. Each section represents a stage of the king's passage through the Egyptian underworld. You are walking a path designed for a pharaoh's soul, guided by ancient magic, pulling you deeper into the mystery of the afterlife. After the decorated corridors, you arrive in the well chamber. Its deep shaft, once thought to be a well, was likely symbolic, representing Osiris's burial place. Beyond, you enter a grand hall supported by 4 pillars. The decorations are from the Book of the Amduat, a guide to the night journey of the sun god. The pillars depict Seti interacting with underworld deities, embracing Osiris, making offerings to Anubis, and welcomed by Hathor. These images are active rituals, ensuring Seti's safe passage through the afterlife. The hall is a space where the mortal king becomes an immortal god. The artistry is sophisticated, with complex compositions and hidden meanings. Belzoni discovered a sacred theatre, a stage for royal resurrection. Passing through the pillared hall, a final set of stairs leads to the burial chamber. This vast room was designed as the king's final destination. Belzoni found the alabaster sarcophagus waiting in the center, but the most spectacular feature was above. The arched ceiling is painted a deep, dark blue, the color of the midnight sky, with a breathtaking map of the heavens. It is one of the world's oldest and most complete astronomical ceilings, a detailed depiction of the northern constellations. It is a complete guide to the universe, a sacred blueprint of time and space, designed to surround the pharaoh's sarcophagus and infuse it with cosmic power. The sky was the ultimate destination, where a king could achieve true immortality. It was all part of a carefully orchestrated plan to transform a dead king into a living god. In the grand burial chamber, Belzoni made a puzzling discovery. The magnificent sarcophagus was there, but it was empty. The king's mummy was long gone, likely moved by priests in antiquity to protect it from tomb robbers. But another, more profound mystery was hidden in the floor. Tapping the ground near the sarcophagus, Belzoni heard a hollow echo. He knew what that meant. There was something more below. After clearing away the floor slabs, he uncovered a steep, dark staircase descending from the burial chamber, leading even deeper into the mountain. This was completely unexpected. The tomb, it seemed, was not finished. He and his team began to explore this new passage, but unlike the pristine, painted corridors above, this tunnel was rough and dangerous. The walls were crudely hacked from the rock, with no plaster and no decorations. It was clear that the master artisans had never worked here. The tunnel was filled with loose rubble, and the air grew thin and difficult to breathe the further they went. It descended at a sharp angle, plunging into the unknown darkness. Belzoni, ever the adventurer, was determined to find out where it led. He believed it must lead to another secret burial chamber, perhaps one that still held the king's body. For weeks his workers struggled to clear the debris, digging their way further into the mountainside. They burrowed for more than 300 feet, a remarkable feat of excavation given the perilous conditions. But the tunnel showed no signs of ending. It just kept going, a mysterious wound in the bedrock. Eventually the risk became too great. The unstable rock threatened to collapse, and the lack of fresh air made it impossible to continue. Reluctantly, Belzoni had to give up. He had reached a dead end, leaving the ultimate secret of Seti's tomb tantalizingly out of reach, hidden at the end of an unfinished path. To this day, the purpose of this tunnel remains one of Egyptology's greatest unsolved mysteries. Why was it built, and where was it supposed to lead? Some modern archaeologists believe it was intended to connect the tomb to the mythical waters of the underworld, the source of all life and rebirth. Others maintain Belzoni's original theory that it leads to a true hidden burial chamber. Several modern expeditions have tried to explore it with advanced technology, but the passage remains blocked. The unfinished tunnel is a silent question mark at the end of Seti's grand statement, a final riddle from a pharaoh who took his deepest secrets with him into eternity. After Giovanni Belzoni unveiled the tomb, it became a sensation for wealthy European travelers. Belzoni wanted to bring the alabaster sarcophagus to the British Museum. Thus began the monumental effort to move the colossal coffin. It was transported down the Nile to Alexandria, then shipped to London. The British Museum refused Belzoni's price, so he exhibited it himself at the Egyptian Hall. Later, architect Sir John Soane purchased it for his private museum. The sarcophagus became the heart of his collection, where it remains today. Its absence left a void in the tomb. Was Belzoni a hero or a plunderer? The sarcophagus tells Seti's story, separated from its original context. After Belzoni's discovery, a new kind of explorer entered Seti's tomb, dedicated scholars armed with notebooks and an insatiable desire for knowledge. In the 1820s, Jean-François Champollion, who had just cracked the code of hieroglyphs using the Rosetta Stone, made his way to the tomb. He was one of the first in nearly 2,000 years who could truly read the stories on the walls, translating the sacred texts. Champollion and Ippolito Rossellini spent countless hours inside, meticulously documenting what they saw, understanding the tomb was a fragile masterpiece. They worked to create a faithful record, making detailed drawings and watercolors of the reliefs and inscriptions. Their work created the first comprehensive scholarly archive of the tomb's decorations. This record would prove invaluable, as it preserved scenes that would later be damaged or even lost forever. However, this increased attention came at a cost, as early tourists and collectors, with little regard for preservation, would often chip away small pieces to take home as souvenirs. Large sections were brutally sawn out of the walls and shipped to museums in Europe. These acts of vandalism left permanent scars, leaving Seti's magnificent underworld palace beautiful, but tragically incomplete. By the early 20th century, the state of Seti I's tomb was a serious concern. After a century of unrestricted access, the tomb had suffered severe harm. The brilliant colors were fading and the plaster was beginning to crack. A new kind of explorer was needed, someone focused on a desperate mission of rescue. Howard Carter, working as an inspector, was horrified by the damage. Carter installed lighting and gates to protect the tomb from further harm, marking a crucial shift to active preservation. The biggest threat, however, came from nature itself. Geological instability and flash floods were causing massive structural problems. In 1959, the tomb was closed to the public. Teams of conservators and engineers were called in to diagnose the problems and find solutions, fighting a battle against time. The explorers were fighting to save this irreplaceable wonder for future generations. With the physical tomb closed, a new generation pioneered a revolutionary approach to unlock its secrets. If they could not safely enter the tomb, they would bring the tomb out to the world, marking the beginning of the tomb's digital resurrection. Teams began using cutting-edge technology to create a perfect virtual copy of KV-17. The Factum Foundation scanned every inch of the burial chamber, using laser scanners and composite photography to capture the reliefs. This data created a physical life-sized replica of the burial chamber, exhibited worldwide, allowing people to experience Seti's tomb without causing damage. This digital record preserves the tomb forever, allowing us to virtually piece it back together. Conservators can virtually place fragments from museums back into their original positions. For the first time in almost 200 years, we can see the chambers complete and unbroken. This digital repatriation restores its original narrative. By analyzing the high-resolution scans, scholars have found new details about how the tomb was made. The explorer's path has evolved to the scientist's laser scanner, ensuring its story will never be lost again. Why does one tomb, buried deep beneath the sands of Thebes, hold such importance? Why does KV-17 matter so much? It provided us with a complete instruction manual for the Egyptian afterlife. Seti's tomb was a complete, cohesive library of the underworld. It laid out the entire journey of the soul, from death to rebirth among the stars, in one continuous narrative. It contained the first known complete copies of major funerary texts like the Book of Gates. It showed us that for the Egyptians, the afterlife was a structured, dangerous, but ultimately navigable landscape, provided you had the right knowledge. It became the model for the pharaohs who followed him. It was a prototype, a blueprint for eternal life that defined royal funerary architecture for generations to come. Seti's tomb matters because it allows us to step directly into that worldview. Seti's tomb represents the pinnacle of New Kingdom art, a masterpiece demonstrating the skill of the royal craftsman. The quality of the reliefs is unparalleled. The artisans used the technique of bas-relief, giving the scenes a subtle depth that flat painting cannot capture. The play of light and shadow makes the gods and goddesses feel almost present. The artists were the best, their mastery evident in every line. The figures are elegant with a sense of proportion that is both idealized and natural. The details are exquisite. This was high art, created to serve a sacred function. The use of color is a masterclass in ancient symbolism. These colors were an integral part of the tomb's magic. For art historians, the tomb allows us to study the royal artistic style of Seti I's reign in its most perfect form. Seti's tomb shows an empire at the height of its cultural confidence. It is a benchmark against which all other New Kingdom art can be measured. It is one of the greatest artistic achievements of the ancient world. The tomb of Seti I does more than just explain Egyptian religion. It tells us a great deal about the king himself. Before the tomb's discovery, Seti was a somewhat shadowy figure, known primarily as a warrior king, and the father of the much more famous Ramesses the Great. He was seen as a transitional figure, a bridge between the chaotic Amarna period and the glorious reign of his son. But his tomb reveals a different side to his character. It shows us a man of immense piety, deep learning, and a profound artistic sensibility. The king who commissioned this masterpiece was clearly more than just a soldier. He was a scholar and a theologian. The sheer ambition of the tomb's decorative program speaks volumes about Seti's vision. He was not content with a standard burial. He wanted the most complete, the most perfect, the most magically potent eternal home ever created. The inclusion of the full Book of Gates and the detailed astronomical ceiling shows a king deeply invested in the intellectual and religious currents of his time. He was making a statement about his own piety and his unique relationship with the gods. The tomb was his ultimate legacy, a project that likely consumed significant resources and the nation's top artistic talent. It was designed to be his greatest monument, and it succeeded. This changes how we see his reign. Seti I was a restorer. He came to the throne after religious upheaval and worked to bring back the traditional gods and rituals. His temples at Abydos and Karnak, alongside his tomb, are all part of this grand project of restoration. They were meant to show Egypt was back on its correct pious path after the heresy of Akhenaten. His tomb is a political statement as much as a religious one. It is a declaration of orthodox faith, a monument to the enduring power of the traditional pantheon and the divine authority of the pharaoh who served them. By understanding the tomb, we understand the man. We see a ruler who was meticulous, ambitious, and deeply concerned with his eternal legacy. He was not just paving the way for his son, he was cementing his own place in history as one of Egypt's great and devout pharaohs. The tomb gives us a more balanced picture of him, moving him out of the shadow of his famous son and establishing him as a major figure in his own right. It gives a voice and personality to a king who might otherwise have been a footnote, transforming him into a man of vision, faith, and extraordinary artistic taste. The tomb of Seti I is a story of survival and a testament to the quest for immortality. For thousands of years, this world lay hidden, preserving secrets as empires rose and fell. Its rediscovery connected us to the golden age of pharaohs, allowing us to see their world. The tomb is a time capsule speaking to us from the past. Its journey teaches us about preservation, as it was damaged by those fascinated by it. Conservation efforts show how our relationship with the past has evolved. The unfinished tunnel fuels our imagination, keeping us searching and debating. New technologies bring the possibility of solving Seti I's last secret. The legacy of Seti's tomb is written in stone, a story of a king's journey into eternity. It redefined our understanding of a pharaoh and the importance of preservation. Seti created a legacy that has made him and his world immortal. The story of Seti I's tomb is a story about legacy. Seti I sought to restore the glory of Egypt. He built temples and led armies, but his most profound statement was carved into the Valley of the Kings. This tomb was his ultimate act of creation. His legacy influenced those who came after him. His son, Ramesses II, looked to KV 17 as the model for a royal burial. Seti I established a new gold standard for the House of Eternity. Thanks to the rediscovery of his tomb, he has emerged as a figure of immense importance. The tomb gives us a window directly into his mind. The enduring echo of this pharaoh is felt by every person who has ever marveled at the tomb's wonders. His tomb has granted him a different kind of immortality, ensuring that his journey never truly ended. For all that we have learned from Seti I's tomb, it remains a place of profound mystery. It has not given up all its secrets. The greatest of these, the riddle that has haunted explorers for 2 centuries, lies at its deepest point. The unfinished tunnel, plunging from the floor of the burial chamber into the unknown darkness, is a silent, nagging question. Why was it built? Was Belzoni right to believe it led to a hidden, true burial chamber, a final secret sealed away even from the ancient tomb robbers? Or did it have a more symbolic purpose, a ritual pathway intended to connect the pharaoh's spirit with the primeval waters of Nun, the source of all creation? This single, unfinished passage ensures that the story of KV-17 is not over. It keeps the tomb alive as a site of active exploration and debate. Modern Egyptologists, armed with technologies like ground-penetrating radar and seismic sensors, have repeatedly returned to this mystery. They have tried to peer through the solid rock, to map out what lies beyond the rubble that forced Belzoni's retreat. Each new survey brings whispers of anomalies, of possible voids or chambers, but a definitive answer remains tantalizingly out of reach. The tunnel guards its secrets well, a final challenge left behind by the tomb's ancient architects. The location of Seti's mummy is another enduring riddle. Although the magnificent alabaster sarcophagus was found, the king's body was not inside. We know from other discoveries that the mummies of many great pharaohs, including Seti I, were moved by priests in ancient times to protect them from desecration. His body was eventually found in 1881, hidden in a secret cache of royal mummies at Deir el-Bahri. But this raises another question. If the priests moved his body, did they know about the secret tunnel? Was the king ever even buried in his grand sarcophagus? Or was he placed somewhere else from the very beginning? The tomb's narrative has a missing final chapter. These unsolved riddles are a vital part of the tomb's magic. They fuel our imagination and drive our desire to keep exploring. A historical site without questions is frankly a dead one. But Seti's tomb continues to breathe, to challenge us, and to promise new discoveries. It reminds us that the past is not a simple finished story. It is a complex landscape of clues and contradictions, of magnificent certainties and profound unknowns. The tomb of Seti I is a perfect example of this, a masterpiece that reveals so much while still holding its most intriguing secrets close to its heart. Our journey through the tomb of Seti I is really a journey through time itself. We begin with a king's sacred quest for eternal life, a belief so powerful it could move a mountain. We walk alongside him through a world of gods and monsters, painted in colors that honestly defy the centuries. This ancient world, sealed in perfect stillness for 3 millennia, feels incredibly close and real inside these corridors. It is a testament to a civilization that placed its faith in art, magic, and meticulous planning to conquer the finality of death. The tomb is their greatest argument for immortality, a statement of belief so profound that it continues to captivate us today. Then our journey moves forward, following the path of the explorers. We feel the thrill of Giovanni Belzoni as he takes his first steps into the darkness, the wonder of Champollion as he reads the ancient words for the first time, and the desperation of the modern conservators racing to save the tomb from decay. This part of the story is about our relationship with the past. It shows how we have evolved from treasure hunters to scholars, from collectors to guardians. The tomb becomes a mirror, reflecting our own changing values and our growing understanding of the immense responsibility that comes with being the keepers of world heritage. Today, the journey enters a new digital phase. Through technology, we can resurrect the tomb in virtual space, repairing the damage of the past and making its wonders accessible to the entire world without harming the fragile original. We can explore its secrets on a microscopic level, uncovering details the artists themselves never expected us to see. This digital future ensures that Seti's legacy is no longer at the mercy of time or geology. It has been translated into a new enduring language of data, preserving it for countless generations to come. The journey continues, using the tools of the future to protect the treasures of the past. In the end, the tomb of Seti I is more than just the resting place of a pharaoh. It is a crossroads of history, a place where ancient faith, artistic genius, human curiosity, and scientific innovation all meet. It is a story that began with a king's desire to live forever and continues with our own desire to understand and preserve. It stands as a silent, beautiful monument in the Valley of the Kings, a testament to the enduring power of a great story, written not on papyrus, but in the very heart of the eternal rock.